Okay, guys, welcome to the WAN show. I think I'm live, and I will be hosting the show with a... What is up with this Twitch user, Linus Late Tips? Okay, yes, I was a little bit late today, but how could I run the show without my special co-host here, huh? I mean, if Harry wasn't helping me host the show today, would you guys even be tuned in? I didn't think so. So that's my way of apologizing for being late. Since we don't actually have a permanent WAN show set yet, getting the WAN show going involves tearing everything else down, getting the WAN show up and running, and then bringing it to you guys about, well, 16 minutes late. Sorry about that. So the good news, though, is today's show will actually have tech news, since there's no one here to distract me with his rugged good looks. Although Daniel Radcliffe does have pretty rugged good looks. So I'll be just kind of focused on interacting with you guys and talking about what actually happened in the world of tech this week. Our headline topics are... What else we got? Actually, I'm just going to pick random headline topics. Oh, look at that! Nick went and picked headline topics for me. All right, so the Z170 chipset launched along with Skylake enthusiast-grade processors to go with it. I know we don't have a review. Those of you who follow me on social media will know why, but I'll talk more about this later. Cherry has announced their Cherry MX silent switches. Were Cherry MX key switches just not silent enough for you? Well, maybe now they will. I don't know. I haven't tried them yet. Maybe they're totally loud. We'll find out. And there's a tool for unlocking shaders in your AMD GPU. It's not the first time something like this has popped up. So let's go ahead and roll the intro. Bam. Oh, crap. Oh, apparently there's no intro sound. Well, oh, I know why that is. Okay, the only way I could figure out to get rid of the stupid echo, I don't know what it is. Something in the settings is borked right now, and I can't figure out how to get the HDMI audio from the camera, which is being pulled off of a microphone on the camera. So it sounds horrible. Here, I'll show you guys what it sounds like for a sec. Hello. Hello! Oh, it's awful. Oh, blah, blah. So that's why I have that turned off. But because I have my system sound disabled, you guys can't hear the WAN show intro. So whatever, it is what it is. Apparently we're dropping frames. I don't know what to tell you guys because I am not dropping any frames on my side, and my bitrate isn't super high, and our connection is fine. So yeah, it may actually be a Twitch issue this time. Apparently it sounds fine. Oh. Okay then, well, whatever, we'll fix it during the outro. I think the point is, let's get going on our first topic of the day. So I'll go ahead and post the link since I don't have my handy dandy helper today. Go ahead and click that bad boy. Basically, well, this is kind of the big news. Intel partially launched their Skylake codename CPUs. Let's go ahead and post that puppy there. Sorry, this takes a little longer when I'm doing it by myself. And their Z170 chipset. So here we go. News item. Is this going to work? Oh, okay. No. That's super weird. Well, let's just add a screen capture region again. We'll go ahead and capture that window. There we go. News item. No big deal. All right, so Intel debuts a 6th generation core processor family and Z170 Express chipset. Now, don't expect this to revolutionize your gaming experience. That was never what was promised and definitely not what was delivered, but what you can expect is incremental performance improvements. Now, not quite to the degree that I would love to see on a more mainstream and more up-to-date platform, because the thing that happens here again is that the mainstream platform actually overtakes the enthusiast platform in terms of the processor architecture being used. So the enthusiast platform, that is LGA 2011-3, is now using Haswell E, while the mainstream platform, which has undergone a socket change here, that's something to note. This is LGA 1151. So we've now gone LGA 1156, 1155, 1150, and 1151. These are not interoperable in any meaningful way, but the LGA 1151 socket now has a more advanced microarchitecture than the enthusiast grade socket. And the thing there is that the enthusiast grade socket gets a bunch of features that the mainstream one doesn't. Things like quad channel memory, things like up to, oh crap, memory doesn't, I hope my memory serves, up to 40 PCI Express lanes off of a single CPU, whereas the mainstream one is still stuck at 20 PCIe lanes, if I recall correctly. And of course, this article doesn't mention that, but it should be in the neighborhood of 20 PCI Express lanes, which means that if you're running dual graphics, you are splitting your top PCI Express 16x lane no matter what to 8x8, which doesn't matter in terms of performance. But if you want to throw a bunch more hardware in there, then you're pretty much hooped. Also, it means that you are limited to quad-core processors max, whereas the enthusiast grade platforms are limited to, well, as you can hardly call it a limit, they've got 6 or 8 core processors, and then going up to 18 core processors if you want to spend $5,000 on a Xeon. So let's talk about some of the things that have improved here. Number one is DDR4 has officially reached the mainstream. I just wish that the pricing reflected it immediately. These things take time. It'll take a little while for DDR4 to get cheap. Now, what can happen is you could have a Skylake motherboard that supports DDR3 or DDR4. The architecture actually does support both. And I would fully expect to see, as we get SKUs that are not K overclocking SKUs, which are coming. So right now we've only got 2 SKUs, the 6700K and the Core i5 6500K. So as we get more mainstream SKUs, I would expect to see boards, much like we saw in the past with DDR2 and DDR3 on the same board, although you could only use one at a time, and I'm assuming the same will be true, boards that support DDR3 and DDR4. So you could buy cheap DDR3 now, and then, you know, maybe higher density, higher speed DDR4 in the future. Although I would be absolutely floored if DDR4 makes any kind of a difference in anything other than the use of the onboard graphics, whether that's running games or whether that's using some kind of GPU compute. So let's talk specs. The Core i7 6700K is the usual thing. It's got a nominal frequency of 4 GHz, so Intel has once again managed to stay above that 4 GHz barrier, even for a base frequency, and it can turbo boost to 4.2 GHz. Now, Intel was really ramping up their turbo boost frequencies last generation, and now they've really backed off of it again. That is only a 5% increase with turbo boost. So I guess one way of looking at it is it's running pretty damn near the maximum frequency all the time, but another way of looking at it is that you're not really getting any extra for your power budget. I mean, maybe the cold hard truth is throwing more power at this chip just doesn't really do anything. I mean, it's extremely efficient. Both of these chips have TDPs of 91 watts, so not a whole lot of power. And let's go back to the Core i5 6600K. This is another change this generation, is that Intel has really not gotten very aggressive with their Core i5. It's clocked significantly lower. It looks like about 7/8 of the speed of the Core i7 at 3.5 GHz base, although this one features a more aggressive boost up to 3.9 GHz. So it's got slightly less cache, 6 versus 8 megs of level 3 cache, and no hyper-threading compared to the Core i7, which means that my video, let's see if I can find it, versus i5, let's go ahead and yes, leave this page, I guess. My video, Core i3 versus Core i5 versus Core i7, still is very much accurate. A full, what is it? Wow, it's been over a year since I made it, where I talked about the difference between a Core i5 and a Core i7 being hyper-threading and blippity-bloppity, etc., etc. So good on Intel for not changing too much and keeping my videos relevant. Someone benefited. Both of these chips will not ship with a stock cooler. This is a move that is creating some controversy. Now, to put this in the proper perspective, guys, even though the Intel stock cooler is kind of unexceptional, I mean, you're not going to be doing any overclocking with it, it is functional, but it does come with a cost. So if Intel's assumption is, okay, well, people buying a K-series chip are probably overclocking, maybe they're right to remove it. But we've got people who are unhappy with the move saying, well, hold on a second. I mean, it was handy, if nothing else. I was able to test my system. It's really quick to install, so you're able to test your system, make sure it's working before you go and install a complicated, water cooling setup or whatever else, only to discover that something is broken down the line. And, they're just... It doesn't seem like that much to ask for Intel to spend the, $7 or whatever the BOM cost is on a cooler like that to include it in the box. I'd love to hear from you guys. Let's go ahead and straw poll this. The thing to note, guys, is that only the K chips seem to be affected by this. So should you just pony up for a cooler if you have a K chip? Because the thing to bear in mind is that there's pretty much always a just about equivalent non-K chip that's sometimes clocked a little bit lower, that is a little bit cheaper, and will include a box cooler. So let me just get this pulled. There's no one to stall for me while I'm trying to create straw polls and stuff like that. I've got a lot of people complaining about being banned in the chat. Guys, we have a chat moderation bot. So the only way to not get banned in the chat is to not be obnoxious in the chat. That is pretty much the way that it works. So there you go. We've got 62% of you saying that folks should just be ponying up for a cooler if they're spending the extra in the first place for a K-series chip, with only 22% of you being upset about it and a whopping 20% of you voting for turnip. Apparently those turnip shirts, vote for turnip shirts, have actually started arriving, so that's pretty good news. I'm always glad to see people posting me pictures on Twitter of them in their Linus Tech Tips shirts. Very good stuff. Good news, well, this is more good news because Intel's been doing this ever since LGA 775 and 1366 now, is there is no update to the mounting socket. So you could carry over something as old as what, like a 4 or 5 year old water block or CPU cooler if you still had one lying around that was compatible with LGA 1156. So you will have to make no changes to your existing setup if you're just upgrading, which is another justification for Intel to just save themselves a couple bucks on these CPUs, since a lot of enthusiasts are the kinds of people who are already going to have a cooler anyway that they're just going to upgrade to. Blah, 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 will be identical. Yeah, first motherboards, etc., etc., etc. Okay, 100 series. The 100 series chipset does have some improvements as well. So there's an increase to the DMI chipset bus bandwidth to 64 gigabit per second, which should help with storage devices that run off the PCI Express bus. So things like M.2 or PCI Express SSDs. The chipset now features native support for the NVMe protocol. So that's the replacement for AHCI that is optimized for flash-based storage. They're actually keeping, so they just released these SKUs. This is a really weird launch from Intel, and they're keeping a lot of the information about what they actually changed architecturally from Broadwell to Skylake private until August 18th. This is going to be kind of a funny period for Linus Tech Tips build guides over the next little bit, because due to the move, I still haven't done my Broadwell-based build guide. I've got a really cool idea for it. I'm going to be doing like a desk PC. So I still don't actually know architecturally if the chip that I'm using for that build, which is already locked in with Intel, is going to, because it was supposed to be done before Skylake launched. But I don't actually know if that chip is going to make a whole ton of sense for the rig that I have planned to build around it. And then I'll actually have a separate build coming for Skylake that's going to be an enthusiast grade 1 and like a really cool case and all that kind of stuff. So, stay tuned for that, guys. I've got another really cool piece of news. So while NVIDIA, not once but twice in the last little bit, has run off and changed the overclocking policies for their mobile products on their Maxwell GPUs, they've actually disabled overclocking a couple times. I think they claimed the second time it was by accident or something like that. Oh yeah, the OP for the last article was TISC, and this one is Good Bytes. Intel has promised unlocked overclockable Skylake mobile CPUs. So that is a... Gosh darn it. What the crap is this? No, I don't want a subscription. I just want to see this thing. Thank you. So here, this post from Ars Technica says that Intel has committed to a full range of base clock overclocking and improved memory overclocking on their 2015 Skylake processor. Actually, that's really cool. So we're also going to have an overclocking guide coming for Skylake, and there's going to be some extra information for that. A lot of details about why it's important for base clock to be overclockable and sort of other things like storage to not scale with it. But they are also promising unlocked overclockable Skylake CPUs for laptops. Now, okay, I've said this before. In fact, I said this very recently when the whole NVIDIA locking down overclocking on their mobile GPUs scandal broke. Where I kind of went, yeah, I don't care. I've never really asked for overclocking on mobile CPUs or GPUs because my personal opinion, you can take it with however many grains of salt you want, is that you just probably shouldn't do it. The benefits of overclocking are higher performance, but they come at a cost, and that's higher power consumption, sometimes significantly higher power consumption, and higher heat output, neither of which you want in a laptop. Now, there may be exceptions, and I've had people criticize my stance on the whole, well, you shouldn't overclock your GPU in your laptop anyway position. I've had people criticize me over it because they go, well, hey, hold on a second. What about like, Clevo shells that are designed with coolers this big and you really legitimately could overclock it safely? Okay, there are very, very few exceptions, but most people probably shouldn't be overclocking them. But I'm really interested to see what kind of designs come out of guys like Clevo or Asus or MSI, where they're still really sticking with that thick laptop form factor, whether it's on a GT80, a GT72, or Asus's G75X series that we like so much around here because they run so cool and run so quiet. So stay tuned for that, guys. Again, we haven't really seen any details, but we may have more info after IDF 2015 later on this month. This is the first time we've seen an officially overclockable mobile CPU from Intel, even though they have done Extreme Edition branded stuff before. This is great. I mean, this is such a crappy thing in general that this news like hardly even makes it noticeably more crappy in my mind, except that it just kind of is screwing over Apple for no logical reason. This is posted by HK05, and the original article here is from Torrent Freak. Let's go ahead and pull this puppy up. iTunes, and this is kind of a sensationalist headline. We can expect this kind of one-sided delivery of the news from sites like Torrent Freak. I mean, it's right in the name. iTunes is illegal under UK copyright law. Now, what they mean by that is that iTunes actually suggests when you use it and enables you to rip the songs off of your CDs and then store them in iTunes for use on your personal music playing device. I mean, this is how iTunes and the iPod revolutionized mobile music at a time when, I was still carrying around a Discman and a CD wallet. Remember CD wallets? Remember when those were relevant? Wow. I actually still have a couple of them. I haven't bought a new one in a long time. I used to like stock up on CD wallets. I mean, it was a very, very different time. Anyway, the point is that iTunes encourages and enables that behavior, but due to the High Court, due to the UK High Court calling the government's previous action to legalize copying for private use, so the use by yourself on other devices that you own, as unlawful, after objections from music groups, it is now unlawful to make a private copy of copyrighted works that you own without permission from the copyright holder. So that includes just taking a CD and putting it on your MP3 player. You can't even, this is great. So this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I thought maybe we should popularize in some way, but I haven't really come up with any way to do it. But I mean, what if you had what if you protested this kind of thing by taking to social media and what if people made videos of themselves ripping their content, so TV shows onto their file servers that they can use to stream to their phones? Like, I love Air Video and Emit. I use them all the time. I store everything on my file server and then I can beam it to whatever device I want, wherever I want. It's Awesome. What if you made a video of yourself just ripping them and then shredding the discs? Just being like, look, I don't object to paying for media. What I object to is being told how I can and cannot use it, because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you can't copy a song to another format, that they expect you to keep buying a new one every time an HD DVD or a Blu-ray or whatever comes out with slightly higher definition. Anyway, I'm probably preaching to the choir. You guys are pretty savvy folks. But the point is that since iTunes promotes the CD ripping feature during install, under the current law, they are actively facilitating copyright infringement, meaning they could face significant claims for damages from artists and labels. I mean, what a complicated relationship that is between Apple and artists, where they've got their own content delivery platforms on the one side with iTunes and their new streaming service, and then on the other side they've got these same folks that are potentially going to run after them for breaking copyright law that makes no sense in the first place, but is certainly beneficial to the folks that sell physical media. I mean, what a freaking mess they got going on over there. Anyway, there you go, guys. I'd love to. We should call it like hashtag shredded or something, because it's like rip but shred. Like, or what if you did? What if you actually ripped the media? Hashtag rip it or something. I don't know. Anyway, it seems like a cool idea, but I'm not very savvy when it comes to hashtags and, you know, online protests and all that. So I'm sure someone can come up with a smarter way to implement that kind of thing. I think it would be awesome, though. All right, more awesome news. Actually, this looks potentially cool. Now, I'm gonna be like super. I'm gonna be super real talk with you guys for a minute here. Oh crap! I never actually posted that last link. Sorry about that. Here's the next one. So this was originally posted in the forum by, oops, I went to the wrong doc, by Donutnator. That's the kind of username that someone picks when they really have never said it out loud to them. Donutator might be kind of funny, because it's like, it would be like a past tense of eat. You're the donutator, like you ate a lot of donuts, or I don't know. But Donutnator, I don't know if that makes a ton of sense. Anyway, the last keyboard that that Corsair launched, the Strafe, they sent it over to us for review, and we kind of went, gee, there's not a lot for us to say about this thing. Compared to the K70, which, you know, we already have a whack ton of them in the office because we absolutely love that keyboard. Like, what's the deal here? Because it didn't offer a significant price improvement. It did offer more programmability, which is kind of a big deal. Fully reprogrammable with Corsair's utility engine, whatever Q software. So like, that's pretty cool. But other than that, they weren't really pushing the envelope in any way. We didn't get a new key switch to talk about. So it makes it hard to do a review of a keyboard when you don't have like some shiny new feature to talk about, whether it's RGB lighting or a different form factor or whatever the case may be. Now, so when Corsair sent me news about their upcoming keyboard, so this is off of Hexus here, their upcoming keyboard, I kind of went, yeah, okay, I don't know if we're going to review that. And I had misunderstood the original message because they said it's got a Cherry MX silent key switch. I kind of went, okay, so you put reds on a keyboard. That's exactly the same thing that you've been doing since you first launched the K60 and the K90. I mean, they had reds on them. This is not new. But no, I had completely missed the point entirely. There is a new Cherry MX key switch type called Cherry MX Silent. They have actually redesigned the key switch to be, well, they're saying silent, and Cherry's pretty hardcore, but they've designed it to be quieter, even though reds and blacks are already quite quiet. So what are they going after here? Not just the tactile click that you hear on a brown or a blue. No. They want to eliminate the need for third-party products like O-rings or dampening mats under the keycap and make the actual entire motion silent. So I kind of went, okay, yes, I do want to see the keyboard. So we will be getting one as soon as they're available, and this key switch will be available exclusively in Corsair keyboards for a period of 6 months. I believe the RGB exclusive was a year, but neither Cherry nor Corsair have ever confirmed that with me. So I actually legitimately don't know. But I mean, the partnership between those companies, it looks like it's going well, and I'm excited to see what a Cherry MX silent switch actually ends up looking like. So it'll be available in red and black variants, which are both linear switches. So we're not going to get a clicky switch in a silent variant. Think about that. So they're both linear variants, but the only real difference will be 45 newtons versus 60 newtons of force required. Did I say 60? Hold on. No, I think it's like centinewtons or something. Whatever, grams. But I'm not that... okay, I'm going to go off on a tangent for a second here. I get a fair... Is Harry moving? Wow, it's like he's come to life by magic. Sorry, anyway, I've received a number of complaints lately from both users of the imperial system, so usually Americans, and users of the metric system, usually Europeans, that I don't offer translation from one measurement to another in my videos. And the reason that I get complaints from both groups is I will frequently talk about length in inches or feet, and then I almost never use imperial for, let me think, what do I almost never use imperial for? No, I actually use imperial for length and metric for length. And then in terms of weight, right, I will always use grams. Like I'll never use, what is it? I don't even remember. Ounces. Almost never use ounces. I'll always use grams, but I almost never use kilograms. I always use pounds. So, and the reason for that is Canada is a metric country, but because our neighbors to the south, so many of our imports come from there, both culturally and physically, still use the imperial system. Most of us here can think in imperial for a lot of things, like all construction is done in imperial here. And I don't know, it's probably not the case in Europe, I guess, but I would never call a piece of wood, I don't know what, a 6 centimeter by, like, I don't know, like 5 cent, like what, two would be like what, 3, yeah, see, like a 4 centimeter by like 8 centimeter. No, it's a 2 by 4. It's a 2 inch by 4 inch piece of wood. So yeah, I apologize for that. The reason that I don't provide translations is because I don't even think about it. I just kind of, inches are a very convenient unit because it's something that's an inch or 2 inches would be like, 2.5 centimeters or like 4.5 centimeters. Like it's not very good for just a rough, quick approximation. And the same thing for feet. That's another thing, right? I'll use feet almost always and rarely meters because feet are kind of, they're kind of more granular, whereas centimeters are compared to inches are too granular and meters are not granular enough. I mean, 1.7 meters. Like what? Can we just say 5 feet? So yeah, I don't know. Like it's funny. I don't even know my weight in kilograms and my height in meters. It's just it's a Canadian thing. All right, let's move on to our next topic here. This was posted on the forum by Jaws. Will they know he's stalling for time? Open up the original article on fortune.com. News item. So the original article here is from fortune.com, and it looks like Facebook has patented technology that would allow creditors, to money lenders, to validate your eligibility for a loan based on your circle of friends. Now, if this sounds insane to you, then let me remind you that it wasn't that long ago we were talking about on this very show China's intent to catalog their citizens and assign social credit that would actually affect, so your score was influenced by all kinds of things, like the activities that you participated in, the friends that you had, whether you lived at home, whether you were married, all kinds of crazy stuff like that affected your ability to start a business, get a loan. Sound familiar? Ooh. So, like, I get it. This is really useful information for a lender to have because it might even be, okay, don't take this out of context, okay? It might even be a good thing for some people because right now the lending requirements feel kind of arbitrary sometimes. Linus Media Group couldn't get a loan for the mortgage for this building, okay? Could not get it until it had been in business for 2 years. Why? Well, nothing to do with my personal credit, nothing to do with, my wife and business partner's credit, nothing to do with Linus Media Group's, accounting, nothing to do with our, our sustainability as a company. It was because, well, them just the rules. Well, what if we lived in a world where, responsible people who, try to do all the right things? Well, what if those people didn't have to wait 2 years? Wouldn't that be a good thing? Now, I'm not saying that that's how this tool, if it ever exists, would be used. I'm just saying that that kind of thing could feasibly be beneficial. But that doesn't make this any less scary. And this is sort of the real me talking, not that this is the part that you can quote. This is absolutely terrifying because to me, the government monitoring all this crap is actually less scary than private companies having access to all this data. Simply like Facebook is going to be able to access, the essentially like a social credit score based on your friends and the activities you do on the weekend and the things, maybe you post pictures of yourself spending money frivolously. Maybe that affects your ability to get a credit card. Like, I don't know. Why does Facebook have this data, and why is Facebook compiling it in order to provide it to the companies who are, and remember guys, your credit score affects a lot more than just taking out a mortgage. I mean, it can affect your ability to sign up for a cell phone plan. Like, there's all kinds of companies that are going to want access to your credit data and are potentially, I'm assuming, they would pay Facebook for access to this, but it's actually not clear exactly how that would work. So to be clear, this technology doesn't exist today. Facebook has filed a patent. It is uncertain whether they will ever do anything with the technology. Who knows? Maybe they're patenting it so that they can hold on to that patent and make sure no one ever uses it. Although I think I'm giving Mark Zuckerberg too much credit. I don't think he's exactly that sort of white knight. But who knows? Maybe benefit of the doubt. There you go. I mean, to be clear, and another thing that's really important to note, guys, is this isn't new. It's not like this is the first time that someone has tried to take something other than a financial history to determine the eligibility of someone for a loan. Because, again, young people, this is where I could see it being both beneficial and extremely harmful. Young people don't necessarily have a lot of traditional credit score built up. I mean, that was one of the reasons that before I was old enough, I think I was 16 when I got my first credit card. And I got a limit of $500, and I was a fiscally responsible teenager. Like, I had a lot more than $500 in the bank. So even if and this is another thing, I don't really understand how people overspend on their credit cards. Tracking your receipts really isn't that complicated. Anyway, so even if I did overspend on my credit card, I had the money in the bank to pay it. I have never paid credit card interest in my life. But I got a credit card when I was 16 because my understanding was that it was important to use it and pay it off promptly in order to build up your credit score. Same thing with, my cell phone. Like, you actually have to think about, when you're too young to really be considering crap like that. I mean, you're not ready to buy a house or whatever, but you have to really think about establishing a credit history for yourself early on. And a lot of people don't do that, and I totally get it. So this could be beneficial for them if they are otherwise responsible people. But there's a lot of downsides too. I mean, one concern that was brought up in the article is that it could make it much easier for predatory lenders to reach vulnerable people. So, you want to talk about that South Park episode about how pay-to-win games, freemium games, really target the people with essentially gambling addictions, and that tiny percentage of the customers makes up that massive percentage of the revenue. I mean, this could be a way for lenders to try and find excuses to lend to people who they know won't be able to pay back in time, and are just going to have to pay, massive interest on whatever it is they're doing. Oh, there's a glass door between here and the editing den, and Ed was gesturing emphatically. He's casting spells on me now, but he was gesturing and conversing with Brandon, and it turns out that he wasn't looking at me at all. So I will treat this opportunity as one to talk about our sponsors today. Squarespace.com. Offer code Linus to save 10%. What would you save 10% on? Well, that is a fantastic question. It would be on a website that you are... Why are you taking pictures of me, Ed? That guy. It would be to build a website, whether it's for your portfolio or a blog, or whether it be to create like a little store for knickknacks like Luke's mom created, or whether it's to create your company website. Let's go ahead and fire up linusmediagroup.com. I always love bringing up this site on the WAN show because it really doesn't matter how hard you guys hit it, because it's hosted on Squarespace with their scalable hosting service and all that kind of cool stuff. Why is our team separate from Contact? I don't know. Anyway, the point is that because it's hosted on Squarespace, it's super responsive, it's super awesome. You can read all about our team. You can... Don't use this contact email. That's a really funny story. I went and I looked at that email account once because I had completely forgotten it even existed. And I was like, whoa. Nope. Alt F4. It's like... Guys, the way to reach me is tweet me, and if I don't see it, then that means I was too busy. I'm sorry. It's just, it's gotten to the point. There was a time, like 3-4 years ago, when I tried to respond to every single message I got, and I pretty much did. It is not doable anymore. I simply can't. I respond to things when I have time. But yeah, squarespace.com. You can make a great site for yourself, and it's affordable. And if you buy 12 months at a time, then they will actually throw in a free domain. And you can save 10% if you use offer code Linus when you're setting it up. The tools are easy to use. The templates are beautiful and responsive, so they'll work on a cell phone, laptop, TV, whatever the case may be. You could probably even put a Squarespace site on a billboard if you really wanted to. And yeah, they're also great guys. I think they have officially locked in to sponsor us at CES this year. So you'll be hearing about Squarespace, the best darn online website creation tool. And, you know, maybe we'll find a way to drop, you know, something Squarespace on everything or something along those lines. Oh yeah, another quick thing that's actually related to our Squarespace site is I have finally updated the address of Linus Media Group. So those of you who are wondering where the garage sale will be, will no longer need to wonder about that. Our other sponsor today is lynda.com. Visit lynda.com/WAN show to learn now and for the next 10 days. Yes, you can learn it. All kinds of things. They've got, you know, whether it's photography tips. I shouldn't even call it tips because it's more like lessons. Like they've got industry experts that are creating these video lessons for you. You can go ahead, you can create courses, you can watch playlists of other people's courses that they recommend going through. And I realized I only said one of the things you can learn. So you can learn business skills like office applications. You can learn video editing. You can learn Photoshop, all kinds of great stuff on there. And the plans are affordable, starting at $25 a month. But this is great. The 10-day free trial is all you can eat. So you can find out if Squarespace is right for you before you commit. There was something else I was supposed to say. Oh yeah, right. And they now have a feature where you can download and watch offline. So if you're someone who, you know, wants to download on your wireless network at home and then watch on the bus, you no longer have to use your mobile data for that stuff. So that's a pretty cool feature. So that's lynda.com/WAN show for a 10-day free trial. So let's go ahead and move on to, I could really use some water. Maybe I'll message someone because I am like dying here. Brandon doesn't seem to be doing any actual work right now. He's just wandering around anyway. So can I get water, please? Thanks. In my decorated cup, please. We'll see if he even gets this. That guy, man. Drives me crazy. Oh, I have kind of a, okay, I am going to get distracted by one topic today. I have kind of a cool update. I have been looking into offsite backup for some time. Cloud-based storage is freaking expensive, especially when the server that I'm looking to back up nightly is a 20 terabyte server. I mean, I'm not even talking bandwidth cost. They want so much money to put 20 terabytes in the cloud. And it's like, well, this, you know, server boxes from the blah, blah, blah. I don't care. You know how much a friggin' RAID card costs? You know how much a license for an operating system costs. You know how much it would cost me to put like a free NAS box somewhere? Can somebody, for the love of all that is good, please just rent me some rack space for a reasonable price, and I'll put my own server there. I actually, this is like the first time that I've heard myself saying this, but I love our new ISP. I love our internet service provider here. It turns out that they were willing to, I talked to them about this, they were willing to let us put one of our servers in their data center that is here in BC, but physically far enough away that if there was an earthquake or natural disaster, we would be spared from it. So they're going to allow us, they're just going to charge us a very reasonable monthly rate per U that we take up in their rack plus power. And I don't believe there's any additional cost for data. And we can put an off-site server that will actually appear to all of our local computers as though it's on the local network. So I am super stoked on that, and that is a small new Office update. There's actually going to be fewer new Office vlogs over the next little bit. We are finally getting the real content rolling. So we've got yesterday we did Windows 10 versus 8 versus 7 gaming performance. Today we filmed Final Mouse review, as well as what else is coming on Vessel in the next little bit here. Oh yes, this one's going to be good. Is 4K worth it? And I'm not talking a hardware upgrade. I'm talking online video. And then I think there's a moving vlog coming Monday on Vessel. And then next week, I'm going to be jumping into Pebble Time. Our Skylake sample, I think, arrived today, but it's at my house, so I'm going to have to double check. The S6 Active review is finally coming. I've been using that thing forever. So we are getting finally back to our regularly scheduled content. You guys will just have to bear with us for a little bit here. Now, oh, I just realized something. Oops. Oops. There we go. I haven't had my lower third in my little WAN show floaty see-through thing. See, it's see-through. You can see my hand through it for this entire show. Oops. All right, let's move on. This is friggin' hilarious. I love this. So Best Buy posted a deal where if you buy an LG G4 at Best Buy, excuse me, buy or lease an LG G4 at Best Buy, and you can get a 24-inch TV free of charge. This was posted by Top War Gamer on the forum, and this thing is brutal. Like, it is the worst thing ever. Basically, I mean, first of all, can you really call 24-inch a TV anymore? I mean, what is this, like the late 90s? You know, when you could actually buy a 21-inch TV because CRT TVs were like kind of huge and bulky, and not to mention still expensive and stuff. This TV is 720p, so it is basically obsolete before the first, you know, engineering drawings were ever made of what it was going to look like. And the offer is valid from August 2nd to August 8th. So get on this now. Activate an LG G4, get pretty much the worst TV ever for nothing. Apparently it normally retails for $149.99. And what I want to know is how they get off charging $149.99 for that. I mean, let's go on a site like Newegg and find out what a 24-inch monitor is going to run us. I actually rarely shop for things because of my job, so it's so for okay, this is good. So for a mere $20 more, we could actually get 1080p, which would make it not a completely irrelevant and horrible product. Nope, for $10 more, we could get 10. Nope, for exactly the same price, we can get a 1080p display. So I think it's very deceptive to call the value of that particular TV $150, but if you were planning to get a G4 anyway, then I did want to bring your attention to it. If you happen to be in the US and you're not locked in terms of the carrier, you can get Verizon, AT&T, or Sprint versions of the G4. So those of you on uncarriers are a little bit out of luck, but that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess there are other carriers in the States, but the big three are covered. Project Quantum. This was posted by HK05. Look at all this tech news this week. It's almost like this is a tech news show with Harry Potter. I don't know what it is. I think my laptop's a little unhappy. You guys can probably hear that the fan is going super loud, but web pages are taking a little while to load and stuff like that. That normally isn't really the case. And like apparently some application crashed or some crap. Something Windows 10 Home something whatever. Okay. Oh my gosh, I maximized it. That is not what I want. No, stop, please. So this is posted by HK05. I'm going to go ahead and post the link over here. But yeah, web pages are opening extremely slowly. Boop. I'm not dropping frames though, which is good. And yes, I know there's some background noise. You know what else the background noise is caused by? Air conditioning. So our air conditioner was finally turned on yesterday, and it is so awesome because I just naturally get kind of warm when I'm working on... Stop.
Yay, air conditioning!
What?
I said, yay, air conditioning!
Oh, yeah, yay, air conditioner indeed. Like, I naturally get warm when I'm working on computers and when I'm, like, hosting a show. Like, I tend to run kind of hot as a person, and when I'm doing that in a hot room, it is so brutal. Like, I'll just sweat through everything. It's awful. Having AC is the most amazing thing ever, and we've got it. So we've got so many different zones of it that we could even turn down the temperature in like the room where we're doing WAN show, which will be less of an option in the winter. It occurs to me now. We might just have to. Oh yeah, we're not going to be filming inside the office forever. Well, I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. Air conditioning is nice. I don't remember where I was going with this. Project Quantum may not actually reach the market. So if you guys recall, Project Quantum was like a concept PC that AMD showed off. That was like... it was based on... Actually, it was based on Intel CPU. It's really funny how AMD really dances around the whole... Yeah, you should buy our CPUs, but like... When we do benchmarks for our reviewer's guide, we use Intel platforms, and when we, design a product that we might think people might actually want to buy, we usually use an Intel CPU in that too. So it has an Intel CPU in it. Thank you, Brandon. You got my message. See, I have my water now. Uses Intel CPU. Uses 2 Fury class Fiji GPUs. So effectively an R9 Fury X2. So it's got a 4790K processor. It's designed for 4K Ultra HD gaming and in an extraordinarily small form factor. So the idea is it's got like this, external unit here, but it's actually still quite small. And I guess my response to this is, who is surprised? I mean, the viability of a product like that, like the engineering that would go into mass producing something like that would be extraordinarily expensive. Like the only company I could think of that might even begin to consider creating a product like that would be someone like Razer, where you look at what they did with laptops and they went, okay, we're going to reinvent this. We're going to make a MacBook Pro, but with a GPU in it. And I really don't see Razer doing this because they are already investing in the Android gaming space. So they think the little gaming box is going to be Android based, and this is not what this is at all. So it came out of AMD's Innovation Lab. They did it just to demonstrate what can be done, but the latest word on the street is that this is from Chief Gaming Scientist Richard Huddy from AMD. I don't know whether we have an OEM who is committed to building something like it. We built it as a concept PC, so like concept cars, it's not usually practical to take it straight to market. That wouldn't make a great deal of sense, but it's not far from that. I would think that if we have the right kind of conversations with some OEMs, then we might well turn it into a real product. In that case, it will probably be a very small number, maybe only one or at most a handful of PC manufacturers who would bring it to market potentially. It's a custom piece, not a high volume piece, but it is a thing of beauty. Speaking of things of beauty, this is actually looking pretty good. Samsung, they really got my attention with the S6 Edge, and the Note 5 is looking like it's going to be a pretty impressive little piece of kit as well. Let's go ahead and pull this puppy up here when I can. Doop, 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 Note 5, etc., etc. So this was originally posted on the forum by 6God. Let's go ahead and drop that in the Twitch chat. Boop. And the original article is from Droid Life, if I recall correctly. Here is The Samsung Galaxy Note 5, they have gotten their hands on it. It is big, although if you were expecting anything else out of a Note series phone, then you probably had another thing coming in the first place, and gives us a couple of improvements that I don't know about you guys, but I've been hoping to see for some time. So we've got a spring-loaded stylus. You can actually see that in the... There we go. They've actually got a couple of other shots here. So you can see that in the bottom. We've got a spring-loaded stylus now. The fit and finish of it looks absolutely beautiful. So gone is pretty much all the plastic. It's very, they're probably not going to like me saying this, but it's very iPhone-esque looking on the bottom. I mean, it's undeniably similar looking to the iPhone on the bottom there. I said the same thing about the S6 Edge. It'll be available in 32, 64, and 128 gig configurations. There is a screenshot showing their air command, so you can add things to it like Instagram or whatever the case may be. I've got a call from someone who is not going to be relevant right now. Wham! Thank you, smartwatch. I love you. And it has a regular USB port, so they have done away with the whole USB 3 and have not even gone with USB 3 Type-C. So that's a bit of a disappointment. I would have liked to see a USB 3.0 Type-C implementation, just because the flash storage on phones is getting fast enough that USB 2 is a significant bottleneck. But I'm really glad that they did away with that USB 3.0 micro B connector, because that thing is the worst connector ever created in my mind. So there you go. I think the actual unveiling is going to be next week at a press event or something along those lines, but it looks like now we pretty much know everything we need to know about it. 3,000 milliamp hour battery, also very unimpressive. I recently switched back to the Droid Turbo since Brandon is using the S6 Active to do B-roll for the review of it, and I gotta say, whenever I'm reviewing a phone that doesn't have like a 3,500 plus milliamp hour battery, I really, really feel it. I love having the flexibility to be, 530, so most of the way through my day with 70% of my battery life left. If I got a GPS all over the place, not having to carry a battery bank with me is huge and absolutely fantastic. This is really funny. Here we go. So there's actually two sort of related pieces of news here. Number one, wow, I actually have a lot left to cover here. Holy smokes. So number one is that Microsoft is now giving up to 20 weeks of parental leave, which is apparently a big deal in the States. So, yeah, I had no idea, because in Canada, we actually get a year per child. Now, to be clear, that's not a year fully paid. That's actually a government thing. Like, it's an employment insurance thing. So it's capped, and it's like a percentage of your salary, something, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we actually get a year of leave. So I kind of went 20 weeks. So that doesn't seem that great. But the good thing about it is that it is now with 100% pay. So it's actually at the discretion of a company. So I know that for my wife, because she has a managerial position at Costco, a significant portion of her parental leave was actually topped up. So the company can contribute additionally to what the government is already paying. So like that's something that I thought was pretty cool. The fact that they now give up to 12 weeks for a dad, or an additional 8 weeks for mom. So up to 20 weeks of fully paid leave. And I had no idea, okay, so I'm getting back to my point. I had no idea this was such a big deal, because in Canada we get a year, duh. Apparently in the States, parental leave is like horrible. Like you only get a little bit, if anything at all. And even in Washington, I think the law was something along the lines of like you had to give like 8 weeks or something like that, and it was at the employer's discretion if it was like paid at all or something along those lines. So I can tell you, as someone who has had a couple of kids in the last bit, it is so important and so awesome for mom to get to spend a ton of time with new baby when they're first born. Especially if you want to breastfeed versus formula feeding and all that kind of stuff, which has health benefits, antibodies and all that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so not to be outdone, also this week, Netflix has announced that they're offering unlimited paid parental leave for a year, which I guess is another way of saying that you've got a year of parental leave. So here we go. Federal law in the U.S. requires 12 weeks unpaid leave for parents. So I was wrong. It's 12, not 8. And so this one is now available for both birth parents and adoptive parents. They'll earn their normal salary and is intended to help the company keep valuable employees, according to their talent officer or a talent officer. It allows parents to set their own work schedule, letting them return on a full or part-time basis and take leave as necessary during the first year. So many are skeptical about the new plan's efficacy, as in competitive industries like tech, employees are often looking for any advantage they can get. But MarketWatch speculates, and this is really interesting. This was actually posted by, actually we don't have a forum source for this one. So MarketWatch speculates that this could cause, oops, there's the doc. Well, this could cause new parents to take less time off than if they were given a set amount of time, because this was an internal study done by Ernst & Young that found that for every 10 extra hours of vacation time employees took advantage of, their performance ratings from their bosses climbed 8%, and that those who took frequent vacations were less likely to leave the company. But the reason for this might be something called work martyr syndrome, which means that in competitive workplaces, employees are looking for any leg up they can get on their performance reviews, so they think that it will look good to their bosses if, despite being given unlimited vacation time or whatever, they actually take even fewer days off. Very, very interesting stuff, like the whole psychology of vacation and time off and all that good stuff. We've got, this is a really interesting one. Microsoft updated their terms of service on August 1st in sort of a scary way. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this link in the forum. So this was originally posted by The Stranger. Although, The Stranger, I think you misspelled the. You've got it spelled T-E-H. Just saying. I'm just kidding. I know that's an intentional spelling error. This was posted by The Stranger, and Windows 10 updates can now disable pirated games and unauthorized hardware. So this went into effect on the 1st of August, and the terms are valid for everyone using Microsoft services such as Office 365, oops, I put up the wrong hand. Well, whatever, I'm just going to have to put this away. Office 365, Outlook.com, Xbox Live, Skype, OneDrive, Bing, and MSN. Although software using a Microsoft account is covered by the terms, meaning that the terms also affect most Windows 10 users. And speaking of, maybe I'll rant about that a little bit later. So, it is unclear what the company means by unauthorized hardware peripheral devices. Maybe we're talking unlicensed game controllers. Maybe we're talking like Lord only knows. But yeah, we don't really understand what exactly they're going to do with it. But they could prevent you from playing counterfeit games or using unauthorized hardware. So back to the whole having to have an email to actually use Windows 10 thing. Man, is the way that they've implemented this obnoxious. Let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna pull up the control panel on my machine here. I'm just gonna close anything that might be incriminating. Can my typing just work, please? That'd be super awesome. Oh, that's weird. I straight up don't know what's happening, but I cannot type. Okay, well, I guess I won't. But the point is that the control panel, when you create a new user account for your computer, you actually have to. This is great. Like they've hidden the ability to create a local user account that is not tied to any kind of email account so well that I suspect 99.9% of people out there are just going to enter their email information. You actually have to say, when you create a user account, you have to click, this person does not have an email address, in order to get to the menu that allows you to then get to another sort of weirdly worded thing to click to create a local user account. I upgraded the Blade to Windows 10. I upgraded my desktop to Windows 10, and that is one of the things that really, really annoyed me. What if I don't want to tie my email account to the computer? What if that is not what I want to do? I still can, but most people are not going to think to click that the user doesn't have an email address. They're just going to think, oh, well, there's no other way out. I guess I just have to enter this information. Speaking of no other way out, I actually did figure out something kind of cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and share. Hold on a second. Okay, so maybe I can add screen capture. I'll just share my screen with you guys here. So we're gonna have some videoception here. So I did figure out, let's just put that away, this. So I had said in the video I released last night that I couldn't figure out how to pin things down here. It turns out it is super duper simple. So that's pretty cool. I have so much crap in here, and yet I don't think I can get rid of any of it. It's like scanning utilities and like rapid storage technology, like Chrome, Synapse. I was going to take Synapse off, and then I realized for a second, I was like, oh, I probably can't take Synapse off. It's like actually a Razer laptop. Like the keyboard and touchpad probably need Synapse drivers. Yeah. But the reason I wanted to take it off ended up being a mistake anyway. I thought that there was an issue that Synapse was causing with like mouse lagginess, but that didn't end up being the case, and it totally resolved itself anyway. More bad Windows 10 news. Windows 10 telemetry. Let's go ahead and pull up the Ars Technica article here. So you guys should definitely check this out. So they've actually updated it a couple of days ago since I first looked at it, with a few more Windows 10 features that gather up your data and or behavior and send it back to Microsoft. They also have some suggestions on how to disable them. So by clicking through Express Settings, which I have to confess I did because it never used to be a problem. All it meant was that I had to like change Bing and Internet Explorer from being my default. That's another thing that really annoys me about Windows 10. When you click Make Chrome my default browser, it brings you to a menu where you then actually have to click and turn off Edge and make Chrome your default browser instead of just doing it. So by clicking through the Express Settings during installation, you allow Windows 10 to gather up your contacts, calendar, details, text and touch input, location data, and a whole lot more. It is sent to Microsoft so that it can be used for personalization and targeted ads. The easiest way to disable it is to turn them off during the upgrade or installation process, and there are actually registry and group policy edits that are needed to disable all tracking. So yeah, pretty cool. There's a tool created by a Reddit user to disable Windows 10 tracking with one click. Thank you, Reddit user. You guys can go ahead and check that out. I will go ahead and post this link here. Bippity boppity, just like that. So guys, if you're using Windows 10, I'm actually not personally endorsing that one-click thing because I have no idea what that Reddit user actually put in there, but it seems that some people are reporting that it's all good and that it helps and that is a good thing. I got another news article for you here, guys. This was posted by SamCool55. Let's go ahead and wait for that page to load. There we go. Post that in the Twitch chat. All right. Boy, it is. I really need a producer for this show. I've had so many, this is so funny. I've had so many people contact me and tell me, hey, Linus, you know what I think would be a great idea for the WAN show? You guys should have a producer to like do the lower thirds and bring up the articles and post the things and all that. And I'm like, yeah, that would be great. Sort of cost money and would involve like completely reconfiguring how the sort of the infrastructure of the show works and all that kind of stuff. And yes, it is the kind of thing that professional shows have, and we are very likely to introduce at some point, especially now that I can't believe we have almost 10,000 viewers again. I don't even have a co-host. I got Ari over here. We have almost 10,000 viewers again. So I guess we're getting to the point where with 10,000 live viewers and like 150 to 200,000 archive viewers, we probably should invest in something like that. I had never really intended for WAN show to grow like this. It was supposed to be, I originally called it the live stream and I treated it like Q&A. And then it turned into this thing. It got like a life of its own. So the original article here is from overclock.net, and the activation of cores in Hawaii, Tonga, and Fiji GPUs is apparently, this is great, is apparently something that requires a massive disclaimer right at the beginning. So there's, wow, the versions are rolling out extremely quickly here. And I just want to say, before you guys use this, I'm going to go ahead and, oh yeah, I know I posted a link to the thread in the forum. Before you guys use this, if you've already got a fully unlocked chip, something like a 290X, don't run it. There's nothing to gain. There's nothing to gain at all, because all it does is it unlocks shaders that were hidden away. So if you have something like a 290, this is something that has cropped up before. 7950s were being flashed way back in the day to 7970s. So it's only if you have hidden ones, it can unlock them and make them usable again. But the thing that you guys need to understand is the way that chip binning works is sometimes chips are used for a lower grade product because they just have to fulfill the demand for that product. Sometimes chips are used for a lower grade product because they're broken. Well, not broken, they work, but the parts that would have made it qualify for a higher end product don't work. Like if Intel has a CPU that has 6 megs of cache versus 8 megs of cache, like I talked about with the Skylake-K processors, some of those Core i5s might have fully functional cache. Maybe they just didn't reach like a power target at that frequency or whatever. There's a lot of other reasons a chip can fail other than not working out right. They've got their power targets, their heat targets, whatever the case may be. Maybe that cache works. Maybe that's the thing that was broken. So by unlocking it, you could potentially be unlocking broken stuff on the chip, so your mileage may vary. So there you go. This is good. So this was posted by 13CA350, and the original article here is from Wired.com. I'm just going to go ahead and post the I hate. There's got to be an extension for this. I will try and find it after the show, but I hate the way that in Google Docs it creates that stupid google.com/URL that goes on forever thing, instead of just allowing me to copy paste and like right click copy and paste things directly. I actually have to navigate to the stupid URL every time. 100,000 followers? People are saying something about 100,000 followers. Is that on Twitch? Oh, I guess that's on Twitch. Huh. Look at that. We have almost 100,000 followers on Twitch, and I've only game streamed like a half a dozen times in my life. Go figure. Researchers hacked a Model S, but Tesla's already released a patch. Thank you, Tesla, for treating this with the appropriate amount of gravity and appropriate expediency of your response and all of that good stuff. So if you guys recall, we talked about the whole thing that happened with that Jeep where it was hacked wirelessly, and Jeep's response was like, well, actually, you guys probably shouldn't be talking about this because now you're making like this information public so other people could do it. So please don't do that. No. Tesla has instead worked with, looks like, who was up to this time? Yeah, Mark Rogers and Kevin McAfee. So they executed the attack, and Tesla has already worked with them on the 6 vulnerabilities that were found in total. They've developed fixes and addressed all 6 through a wireless update already. So basically, these guys were able to control the vehicle through a laptop over a physical connection, so not even nearly as terrifying an exploit as that one that was done cellularly. And they were able to plant a remote access Trojan on the Model S network while they had physical access. Then they were able to cut the engine remotely at a later time. They were also able to shut the car down at a low speed of 5 miles per hour. They discovered that the infotainment system was using an out-of-date browser which contained a 4-year-old Apple WebKit vulnerability. So theoretically, if someone made a malicious web page and a Tesla's system visited that page, the site owner could gain access to the infotainment system and control the car by taking advantage of a privilege escalation vulnerability and gain additional access to the car's control. Although that wasn't tested. But either way, it's patched. So there you go. So yeah, what can we really say about this other than that? Good on you, Tesla, for doing things the right way, because if everyone kind of sat around and was complacent and kind of went, well, if you don't fix this stuff, then it's not going to affect someone's buying decision. I don't have to fix this stuff. Then we can just all not fix this stuff. It's good that someone is running out and getting competitive about it, about the security of their smart cars. And I shouldn't say smart car because that's a specific car, but their connected cars. Lordy, what are we going to call these things? Of the security of their connect. See, I don't know what to call them. Cars. Let's just call them cars because they pretty much all have the features now. The security of their car. Someone's taking it seriously, and hopefully that just raises the bar in the industry and forces everyone to play along. More Windows 10 news. This was posted by Ragnarok Dell on the forum. Let's go ahead and pull up the original article here from PCWorld.com. There are already more Steam users using Windows 10 than there are any form of Linux, although this shouldn't be any surprise to anyone who has participated in the Windows 10 upgrade experience, because let me tell you, it is pretty darn seamless. I had my laptop up and running, everything working 100% within a matter of like an hour or something like that. So it was super duper, no big deal, and awesome. And even for pirates, I actually validated this very recently. Even for pirates, the upgrade process is pretty darn seamless, depending on how they pirated their Windows. So I was just like, okay, people are telling me it works. Let's find out if it works. Okay, it works. Very, very interesting. So when you go ahead and you basically provide Windows for free, whether people paid for their old Windows or didn't pay for their old Windows, you've effectively just made Windows 10 free, and that is some pretty revolutionary stuff right there. It is no surprise to me whatsoever that people are jumping right on that biz. So I think that's pretty much I guess that's pretty much it for the show today. Let me see, do I have anything else? I'm sure there must be something. PC World article. No, I think that's pretty much it for the show, guys. Oh no, there's another really little piece of news. So this is from TheVerge.com. The YouTube 301 view freeze will no longer be the case. So this was posted by Cybernetictician, okay, whatever that username is. Now, the reason that videos would stop at 301 views in the past was because YouTube was validating whether that video was actually getting views really quickly. Like, this is back when a video getting 300 views within the first, minute was a big deal. Now it's not. Now there's lots of users that can rack up the views pretty quickly. So they had to validate whether the views were real or if they were coming from a botnet or something to artificially inflate that video and make it look like a big deal so it would hit the front page or something like that and then get legitimate traffic. That was a real strategy for a bit there. Not that I ever did that. Now they're doing away with that, so the 301 plus stall will be taken away. So as long as the views are validated views, so the validated views will come right away, and the ambiguous ones will be added later once Google has ensured that they are genuine. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for this week. So thank you for tuning into the show. I hope you guys. Oh, no, okay, no, I do have one more that I want to do. So this is posted by Rev Silverspine, and the original article here was from Tech Radar. Let's go ahead and copy these into the appropriate places. Wow, 10,000 viewers and almost 100,000 Twitch followers. What a day today, hey? But basically, so the article is, you don't need a crazy powerful PC to run Windows 10. Someone got it running on an AMD Athlon 64 3200 plus. So that is a 12-year-old CPU with 256 megabytes of memory. I mean, anything prior to that, you're going to have issues. Apparently it was just throwing out errors. But there you go. You can, not that I'm saying you should, run Windows 10 on a 12-year-old computer if you really wanted to. So thanks for tuning into the show. Thanks to our sponsors. I will see you guys again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Maybe by then we will have 100,000 Twitch followers, which didn't even occur to me that we had. See you guys next time. It's not showing up in my dashboard. Apparently we already have 100,000 followers. It didn't show in the dashboard, so I got owned.